Hey, what's up, tiny boat builders? Wanted to give you an update. I finally finished the framework for the decking on my boat, and just thought I'd give you a quick run through on that before I start foaming it. So take a look at this and see what you think. Okay, so there she is. It does, I'll go ahead and say this up front, it's not as pretty as some of you guys. A lot of you guys do some amazing work. I'm not that skilled with non-weld aluminum, but at the same time also, I am trying to do this on a budget. So some of this is scrapyard finds, and then I finally gave up on the last probably 2/3 of the metal, and ended up getting it at Lowe's or Home Depot. So get that out of the way straight up front. All right, so let me give you a quick walkthrough on this thing. We'll go bow to stern. So up here in the bow, this area is going to be a shallow stow. I did have some rubber toolbox drawer lining that I put down underneath that metal before I riveted it in place, and that way it'll offer some sound deadening, because it's just on this factory little, I guess you call it a deck, that little thin aluminum that was in here from the factory. So I thought putting that little bit of rubber in there would offer some sound dampening whenever I throw my clippers or whatever else in there. So this is going to be solid deck. I'll end up mounting a depth finder, fish finder here. And on the other side, you can see, if you look from one side to the other, that compartment's just a little bit more narrow. That's because this is where my trolling motor is going to mount. This will be a compartment. It'll open up this way and have my battery box, and then this one will open inside out also, and that will be tackle storage, unless my mind changes between now and then. Also, another thing I wanted to point out, down the side here, you can see this is not all the way up against the side of the boat. So what I did was I built the subframe. There's one, well, started with one there and ended up redoing my plan, but 2, 3, 4 pieces that I built as a subframe. I was planning on doing a flat deck all the way across. The more I got to studying and looking at it, I thought it's not going to be stable enough to be standing up on top of this thing. This is a little boat, 10 foot long, and at the bottom, so inside to inside, is only 27 inches. So I was really iffy on doing that. So I decided to revamp before I ever started actually putting my deck on. I think that was a smart choice. But anyway, I built everything off of those subframe pieces. Excuse me, I can't talk today. What I wanted to do, this area here in the center that you can see all the way across here, I'm going to have a seat pedestal right here, and that's the reason for the framing in the middle. Number one, I needed it raised up to where the bottom of the kingpin would not hit the bottom of the boat. So it was almost 3 inches. This is 1.5 inch aluminum tubing and angle stacked on top of each other. So that's going to give me 3 inches, and then by the time I do my plywood and carpet, I'm going to have close to 3.5 inches, which will give me plenty of room to mount my kingpin pedestal there. And also, I thought, yeah, this is a really thin boat. Obviously, you can see the hull has split down the middle. Honestly, if it wasn't the situation, I don't know if you haven't watched my other videos, this boat was, it belonged to my brother-in-law, and he passed away a few months ago. So, and it's been sitting for I don't know how many years, but I'm just restoring it kind of in his memory, and to try to get it back out on the water. I know he would enjoy that. So if it hadn't been for that, I would have probably scrapped the boat just because of those splits. And like I said, the factory floor bracing there, and there you can see how many rivets I had to use there. Took a lot of work to get all the holes filled and all the splits fixed up on it. So anyway, I didn't want anything touching the bottom of the boat as far as any major weight straight down on that pin. So that's the reason I put these two pieces in to support the weight. I'll have foam the full thickness, the 3 inches all the way up to here, and then we'll lay my floor on top of that. The pieces here in each corner, that is just simply for attachment purposes. I've got some 1/8 inch cabinet paneling, I guess you call it, that I'm going to treat and carpet, and that will go around the inside. Then of course 1/2 inch plywood going on the bottom. Back here, this area is going to be a big storage compartment. Most likely it's just going to be like my life jacket, my stern and bow lights, things like that. I want some lightweight stuff back here because I'm going to have my seat mounted right in here so that I can control my tiller steer engine. And between me and the gas tank and the weight of the engine, it's going to be a lot toward the back. So that's why I'm going to do my battery and tackle up here to try to even out some of that weight. So hopefully it will plane out. And last but not least, back here at the back, get around here where you guys can see this. Also in this area, I've got 1.5 inch tubing there, and that's the height that I'm going to bring my floor up to. Most likely just lay some of that. Of course it will be new and clean, but the foam interlocking floor, that's what I'm going to put here and up there, and that's the only thing that'll be in that area. I'm not going to put any the insulation foam up there. The only reason I am back here is because of that floor brace, so I can bring it up level. Back here, I'm not going to have any foam, anything. And the reason, well, number one is because there's a gas tank here, obviously. I'm going to put a bilge pump here also. And two, I don't have a lot of height to work with. I think I mentioned it in the other one, and I don't remember exactly, but it's something like 12 inches or something like that from the bottom to the very top rim, about 12 inches high. So my gas can has a big vent cap on it. With it sitting on the aluminum, it has just enough room to clear for me to lay a decking board over top of it. Because I am going to still have a deck back here. It's not going to be for standing on, obviously. If I need to throw something back here to strap it down, I can do that. But the center part here will be hinged and fold back that way. And then this back here, never mind these pieces, obviously that's not square, but it's just some scrap pieces that I had and was getting down to the end and really didn't want to buy a new piece for that. But that's just going to be to support this thin strip of deck that comes back through here. And then on that side, probably maybe this side anyway, one corner I'm going to put my stern light, and that'll give me enough room here to do that, to mount my base on top of the carpet. Let's see, what else? I guess that's it, guys. Like I said, I know it's not pretty, but I think it will do the job for what I'm wanting. And so now, also, any metal that's going to be exposed, I haven't made up my mind. Obviously, one side or the other, most likely the inside of this, I will also have a piece of that cabinet paneling with carpet there, and most likely here, I'm not sure since you're going to have one on the other side. If I decide to do that, I'm going to put foam in that also, just to, might as well, you know. But anyway, any metal that's exposed, so like say for instance, I haven't fully figured this out, but if I attach my hinge to this and raise this up, you know, obviously this is going to be exposed, that the weight of the lid is going to rest on, and same, you know, all the way around here. Any metal that's going to be exposed once the lid is open, I'm going to paint with rubberized undercoating, which will be similar to this. Obviously all this back here will be exposed. Oh, and speaking of that, I wanted to touch on this. This was the last thing I did because I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do it. Obviously, if you saw my transom video, you saw how I made this, and it was bolted with the carriage bolts that hold the handles on the back. Probably would be plenty strong enough for my 9.9 horsepower, but this boat, like I've already said, is very thin. So should it try to flex at all, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want the bottom to fold up or, you know, be under any undue stress. And also I thought, well, the chances of this transom folding in half or, you know, even attempting to would be very slim because of how I built it. But I'm just over cautious, I guess. So what I ended up doing, I wanted to tie this transom in with all the rest of the decking just for that extra support, especially at the bottom. So what I ended up doing, see if you can see this here. So this is a piece of 1-inch aluminum angle, 1/8 inch thick. I pre-drilled the holes into the transom. Those are stainless steel screws, 1 inch long. And of course I sealed around the holes before I screwed that into place. So did that on both sides. That will support the transom as far as any stress down the center line where it's bolted. I think that will help with that. And then I wanted, like I said, to tie it back to the frame. So that's where these two come in. I riveted another piece of 1 inch to the bottom of that support there and to the first floor brace, and then the same at the top and there. So that way at the bottom and about 2/3 of the way up, it's connected to the entire decking system of the boat. So there's no reason that transom is going to flex. Obviously the boat wouldn't handle it, but I feel like I could sit a 40 horsepower on that, no problem, and the transom support it just fine. So anyway, there it is. I hope maybe you can get some ideas out of this. Like I said, I know it's kind of a mess right now, but it's going to come together. Now I'm going to get started laying some of the foam in the middle, and next will be the decking. So hope you guys enjoy this. See you on the next one.